So what's going on? Happy Thursday. Try to keep my days together, right? All right. So today, I just want to offer. You know, I know that I had a very unique experience growing up, biracial, and uh, man, literally half my life was spent equally and measured. To be honest with you, I spent just as much time with my white family as I did my black family. And so culturally speaking, man, I'm kind of is I have a broad cultural experience. Okay, and my mother's side of the family, uh, my mother's German Irish. Okay, so my grandfather is German. So my great grandfather immigrated from Germany. I guess you can go, trying to like get the order together. And then my grandmother was like second generation Irish or something like that. And they had my mother. So I have that, okay? And then my father, uh, my Dalton side lineage is literally traces back to a plantation in Plantersville, Alabama. If anybody's interested in historical facts. It's a unique story. It's pretty interesting actually. When I started going down the rabbit trail of my father's side of the family, my Dalton side, okay, which is foundationally Black Americans. My lineage comes from a plantation in Plantersville, Alabama. In fact, that whole town was built off that plantation, and so, but they were Christian slave owners. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but thank God that there were actually slave owners in that day. That they not all slave owners were abusive. They actually cared and took care of their slaves. And and it was a situation like that with that particular plantation in Alabama, and so when those people passed, the plantation owners, they passed the plantation and the land on to their slaves. How noble is that? They left the inheritance to the slaves, and so it's been over 100 some years. So over the years, the property has been deeded down to the ancestors, which I am one of. Okay, so the history behind that is pretty amazing, really. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. That was just maybe a little bit more context. Okay, so I am the combination of that when my father and my mother came together and had me in Detroit back in 1971. Here I pop out, right? Here I pop on the scene, and so I'm a '70s baby. I grew up in the '70s. I cut my teeth in the '80s. Got my bag in the '90s. Did my time, came home, and it's been a journey, and I'm here now, and and so all right. So I just want to offer my insight, my from my observation, my unique experience, because I pay attention to definitely the major headlines of the news, not necessarily the cultural trends, but whatever on that, but for sure, world news headlines, international. I mean, I try to stay abreast of that, on top of those things, and pay attention to the world around me, because it does affect our lives. What a celebrity is doing does not affect. I couldn't care less, right? Whatever on them, but what kind of move President Trump is making, and President Xi. Yeah, I'm want to pay attention to that because that affects my life, my future. So, and then we have a part to play in that in some small way or another. Okay. Anyway, all right. See, you see, you guys are becoming my friends now, so I have no one else to talk to with you. So just here we are, right? So I'm gonna share my life with you, and hopefully you can get something out of it, and then we become better friends, right? And so, all right. So look, here we go. So back in 1986, I was going to Cooley High School. I had already crashed my mother's car, so I got beyond that point now, and so I was trying to piece together. I think in '86, maybe for me, things was already like popping in the city. But now I'm 15. I'm at Cooley. I'm a teenager now, and I don't already started fighting back. It's like all that bullying, and Okay, so and then now, it's all about, oh, I got my, uh, uh, I guess you could say my first real girlfriend. As a kid, we had play girlfriends. This is like my first real chick. Got her, and and the city pop and everybody want to get money, and then I fell into that crowd, and so I wasn't thinking about going to school. I'm trying to get out there, and we started rolling hard, right? And so I got caught up into that, and during that time, man, it was just so much. It's a good time to remember, but when I look back on it now, we were man, we were just being sent down a path to of destruction that at that time we couldn't see because we were just all teenagers, just trying to have a good time. And go by the Air Jordans that just came out, right? And Pumas and Adidas's. Oh, bro, I'm telling you. So, and then, so yeah, and so I got caught up, I got swept off into that, right? And so, I'm not gonna go into the major details, but so at 15, I ended up putting myself and my whole family at risk, over a lot of drugs, right? And so, uh, uh, for my reward of my actions of that, instead of getting killed and getting my whole family killed, I got exiled out of Detroit and Michigan. So I was sent to Alabama to live with some family friends, which were like my cousins and them. You know what I'm saying? We weren't related by blood, but we in some family be more family than blood relatives. It was like that, and it still is to this day. I consider them family, and they consider me their family. And it's always been like that since I was a baby. They helped take care of my mother and me as a baby because she was on her own. And so those were her friends, family, So I grew up in that environment. I thank God for that because they were strong Christians on the east side, and so that influence from them really kept me grounded. Once I got off and running, got off the porch and went at it. Right. Okay. So at 15, like I said, I got myself into a situation. Boom, I get kicked out of Michigan. I go down so I move in with my mother's friend, my Aunt Lucille. I'll just leave it at that, right? And so she had just married a guy named Ronnie I think he was like from Brooklyn or something like that, right? And he had just came home from the Marines, and he was a Alabama state trooper, right? Oh man, I'll never forget this right here. So they sent me to go live with him because in their mind, he's a state troop. They looking like, oh man, Robert is being bad because I was, like I said, I done crashed my mom's car and I got this chick and I'm in it. Me and my homeboys, we was in it. We was going at it hard, right? So so my mom felt like that if I go stay with them, that he would be able to straighten me out, which was true. So boom, I go live with them. So now I go from living with my white family. So now I'm with an all black family. But they living in Russellville, Alabama. Oh Lord, that's got to be the whitest place on earth. Well, not really, because they had a little small black community within the Russellville community as a whole, right? But for the most part, it's all white. And so I pull up on the scene. Here I am. I'm from Detroit. I'm like Detroit. I'm the city, right? During the '80s, and so I ain't been shot yet. I got shot when I was 17, but I had been around. I had been around it already. And we talking about bricks, right? So, okay, so now here I go, and then all my clothes and stuff. Of course, I got feelers and guesses and all that, right? All that street gear. I've been buying clothes and shit. Excuse me. Right. So I pull up down there. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was just this city boy who was a dope boy. Oh man! So I go down there, and that was a good time. All right, so they put me in high school down there, Russellville High School. All right, now by this time I'm done with school. I'm not even when I was in we I was done. We went to Cooley just to meet up and then take off together. That was it. So when I enrolled in Russellville, as I guess the way of trying to get my stuff back together, I'm done with school at this point mentally. I'm checked out. So I'm just up in there just basically hanging out, having fun, making friends, and Okay, so I tell all that to tell this story right here. It comes down to this. So one day I'm in this classroom and I'm sitting there, and like I said, I used to get bullied when I was younger, and so now once I started fighting back, I actually in my own way I became the bully, I became the aggressor, I became that guy, and you know what I'm saying, that I used to run from it, hate it. Once I started fighting back, and then I built my confidence up that I could hurt people and that I actually enjoyed it, and then I didn't have to be scared. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then once I got my, but once you go through that, it's just, and so I became that guy, and so one day I was sitting in this class, and I remember, and this is the only reason I'm thinking about this whole situation with that track in Texas with the stabbing and all that, right? With those teenagers, it just reminded me. And so I was in class, and I was sitting next to this white student, and I just started picking with him for no reason, just as like, oh, have you ever met anybody black? Or you probably don't like black people, do you? Like, yeah, like I'm really like just messing with this kid, And I wasn't one of those. I at this point, I won't say I was looking for the biggest and the baddest, but I wasn't scared of your size. I was almost kind of like, if you was bigger than me, I was definitely like gonna start something with you. Right? And so, cause yeah, I was working it out at that age. I still had a lot of issues, and so I was messing with this kid, and for no reason at all, just starting something with him. And yeah, you're probably racist. I bet you're racist. And and he didn't take the bait, but he sat in this chair, and I'm bullying him, and all the other kids around. Back in those days, if you didn't, they just hung their head and was just like, I hope you don't mess with me, right? and and that kid, he was just sitting there just shaking with he was angry and mad and upset and hurt, and instead of him just exploding on me like I would have did, he just sat in his chair shaking. He was just mad, and I'll never forget that, I was so wrong. And if he had got up and did whatever he did to make me stop from messing with him, he would not have been wrong. And I like what Charleston White said about that situation. This is a right or wrong issue, and that dude was wrong. It's just no, he was wrong. Okay, let's just take all the other stuff about it out of it. He was wrong. Wrong is wrong. Right is right. Right. Okay. All right. So I had to get that out, and then another little side thing. I was in 5 different high schools in my ninth grade year. I never completed the ninth grade, and in fact, when I was thinking about this before I made this video, it kind of made me want to. It just made me feel bad for myself a little bit. I kind of had a moment for Robert, because my last high school, I was at, now it was this is years later. I hadn't been shot after I was 17, so now I'm not living in Detroit no more. I go back and stay with my mother. Then they try to put me back in high school, ninth grade, 17. I haven't been shot, but I'm 17 years old. Once again in high school, my fifth high school in my ninth grade year, and I'm 17 years old on crutches. That didn't last long. I got a story about that too, where they talk about rape, man. Anyway, but yeah, but I just wanted to share that, and yeah, that happens, and I believe that was that in that case, that Anthony kid, he had his own, and I kind of had a thought about it the other day. See, Anthony's, I don't skip all that person, man. Listen, it's what was in his mind and what was in his heart, because nobody goes from being a good kid to just doing something like that. He had already committed that act in his mind and his heart 100 times before it physically manifested itself. So we need to keep that in mind, man. And there is no excusing what happened at all, at all, at all. There's no way. I even try to be open minded, but there's no way. I've been bullied. I was bullied, and it never entered into my mind or heart at that time to take a knife to school and wait for the bully to come start his shit, right? And then I'm gonna stab him in his heart. Ever. No. I'm either gonna fight when he come, or I'm gonna take off and try to duck and dodge. That's it. That was it. That's it. I didn't sit in my room. That that doesn't happen. That didn't happen back then. So for that to be happening now, it's because of our culture. It's because of the music. It's the yeah, man. I'm not about to go into all that. But anyway, everybody have a blessed and wonderful day. Let's bless the wonderful name of the Lord, and let's be light and let's be salt.